Hi, Christian here. This is Chris Talks. Welcome to my podcast. Hi, welcome back to my podcast. This month is a love month, so for this episode, my friend Allie will talk about her love story with a Slovak guy who she met from a language learning website. A simple message from her inbox would have changed her whole life. She is now married and living in Slovakia and on podcast entitled Small Girl Abroad, which showcase life experiences in a foreign land. I hope you will love this episode as we talk about not just her love story, but what is it like dating a foreigner from a local Filipino and how we should take on the risk in finding our true love. While doing this podcast, Ali and I were on a 7 hours time difference, so you might hear my voice very, very soft. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode, so let's get it on. All right, I'm here with Althea. Althea is my best friend here in the Philippines, but she moved now to Slovakia with her loving husband, Rasto. Hi, Althea.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are
Yeah,
you?
how's Slovakia?
Oh, it's wonderful. This country is beautiful and I've been here for quite some time. And yeah, it's a good place to not just visit but also live. Yeah. So it's really nice.
How long have you been there already?
It's been I would say it's almost 4 years now.
Oh, I see. So it's been 4 years since we last saw each other.
Yeah,
Sobrang
it's
tagal.
been a long time. Yeah.
Yes. And how's the weather there right now?
Well, it's winter time. It can be sunny or just a little bit cloudy, but either way, it's cold. So yeah, the snows are the snow isn't here anymore, but yeah, it's cold.
Which is better, Philippines or Slovakia when it comes to the weather thing?
You know what? I realized that it is better to be in a country where there are four seasons. Just because you can really have something to look forward to. Because when one place is just, hot for almost the whole year, you feel like, again, it's gonna be hot tomorrow, or the other day it's gonna be, a little bit
Rainy.
windy or rainy, but
Yeah.
it's the same. But when you're in, four seasons, you know what to expect somehow. And yeah, the weather is quite exciting sometimes.
Oh, I would love to visit you there soon.
Yeah,
It's
come
just
over.
that it's still pandemic.
Yeah.
So
It would be nice to meet each other again.
yeah, very soon, and we're gonna plan about it soon.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So this episode of my podcast is really all about love life, your love story.
Mhm.
Especially now, it's February. It's love month, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And being single, just like me, being a single
Me?
guy, I would love to hear some love stories on my podcast so that someday,
Oh.
if I get a partner, I have this podcast episode that I would look forward to and be inspired and be,
Mm-hmm.
our inspirational story. And you'll be
Okay,
part of
yes.
it. Yes.
Uh, Thank you. It would be nice to be a part of something you can look back to someday.
Yes. I think that's the reason why we're doing podcasts because we want to hear again the stories that we shared before. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a platform wherein we can look back on our experiences and try to mesmerize on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So let's move on. This is your first question, okay? How was your love life before you met your husband, Ras?
Ooh, thank you for that wonderful question. Wow. Well, at the time, I think years before I met him, let's say, mm 2 years before I met him. I was also single. It's been a while since I was broken up with my then boyfriend, and it was fine. I think prior to meeting him, I already have accepted. Well, that's too early to accept it, but that's how I felt that, okay, I don't want to be involved in a relationship again. Um, I think that's how I felt for a really long time. I didn't feel like I want to be in another relationship just because I think I'm done with it. I'm tired of just um waiting for things to be mm, really how can I say it, um really lovely or really exciting. I just gave up on that idea, and I just focused on myself and did whatever it is that I wanted to do.
Actually, there were times that I also thought of just being with myself and just
Mm-hmm.
loving myself rather than finding a partner and just get broken. We always have this
Yeah.
kind of moment that we almost
Mm-hmm.
give up already finding our partner in the our partner or our love life, and we just focus on ourselves. But sometimes it's really just a blessing in disguise. You don't know when
Mm-hmm.
and who will that person be in the future, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what happened. I mean, I am not fully giving up that, I won't be finding someone for me, but at the time I wasn't thinking about it anymore. I just decided that okay, I'm just gonna, do whatever it is. The time will come that whoever this potential partner will be, it will just come to me. I don't have to think about it now. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
actually,
right.
sometimes if you don't think about getting a partner or looking for a date, sometimes that's the time that that person or the right person will come and enter your life. I think
Exactly.
it's just really the moment that it will just come, that lovely moment will just come with someone. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
really
That's
hoping that
true.
someone will come as well for me,
I'm
because
sure.
we're getting older,
Yeah,
we're like
I know.
30s.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's like, you feel like you're running out of time, and, you start to feel hopeless that, oh no, the person for me, when is it gonna come? But it will come. I'm sure it will.
Yes, definitely. And how did you and Rasto really meet?
That can be a long story. Do you have time?
Because a lot of Filipinos would say that if
Mm-hmm.
a Filipino or a Filipina will get to meet or have a partner who is a foreigner, it's
Mm-hmm.
usually all about dating apps or probably meeting that person abroad, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your story with Rasto? So, how did you start?
Thank you. Well, it started as um, it started from this language learning website that we were using. Um, as you know, I'm a homebody and I like chatting with people online. And that is because I really enjoy stories from different people all over the world. And from this website, called Interpals, um, I wanted to learn Korean at the time, but that didn't happen. I realized they didn't really, Koreans or Korean speaking people don't really want to communicate through that app. I don't think it's their thing. But one day, as I was, just going about my business, I received this message from a guy, and he was telling me about his plans to visit the Philippines and asking for someone who can check his itinerary, if that's good or not. Um, but before I read that, I didn't really want to open the message because, yeah, I know we shouldn't be judgmental, but sometimes with the things that you watch on TV, you get to get this, feeling that based on how this person looks like, you have this vibe like, I don't feel
Fair.
like, yeah, but
Fair.
not like that. But you know what I mean. It's not like I'm being judgmental. I think it's the prejudice that formed in your mind through watching TV or movies or just reading
Yeah.
in books, and how he looked like was something that I didn't like. It's not because he's ugly or handsome. It's not about that, but just the vibe. So I didn't want to open the message, but eventually I opened it, and the messages that were sent to me were quite polite and it is kind. So okay, I'm gonna reply to this person, and that was after 3 days of the message being received. And yeah, we just started to communicate on a daily basis or every other day in the next 3 months since then, and we just became friends. But during the time, we were not really thinking about anything more than friendship because we really just enjoy each other's company. So yeah, that's the beginning of it. And finally, 3 months later, their trip to the Philippines, and I say there because he was coming to the Philippines with his friend and brother and sister-in-law. So they came to the Philippines, and I just wish them luck and enjoyment because I wasn't going with them. I also had my own scheduled vacation in Korea because that's where I wanted to go. But it didn't happen. I think a week before my trip, I said, okay, it's not gonna happen. I don't have enough of what I have prepared for this trip. I prepared for the trip for 1 whole year, but in the last minute, I realized it's just it's not gonna happen. So I asked them if I can join their trip because I'm already itching to travel. So why not go somewhere else? Besides, I haven't been to Sagada, which is a very popular tourist destination in the Philippines. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna join you guys. Is that okay? And they said, yeah, of course, join us. And when we got there, we realized that there's kind of something, and I didn't have a clue. Nobody knew. I mean, we didn't know that we had developed feelings towards each other. We didn't want to assume. And believe it or not, the topic of, love or, like the usual in the Philippines, people who are interested in you would always ask, do you have a boyfriend? Or do you have a girlfriend? That's the thing, right? But that question came up only once and it was very casual. And I said, no, um, okay. And then we moved on to a different topic. So we didn't talk about that ever again. So we both felt like we were not really interested in each other on that level. So, yeah. But going back to Sagada, we admitted, our feelings and that it was a surprise. And yeah, that's how it was. So anyway, we both agreed that since then, since the time that we found out, we are officially a couple.
Yeah, official dating. I think that's the story that I was talking about earlier. That's kind of blessing in disguise. Because
Yeah.
if you were get into that plane going to Korea and you were
Mm-hmm.
not able to join them, probably you will not be able with. I mean, you will not be having a relationship with Raspo, right? Probably you will be
Yeah.
meeting someone else or maybe worst person ever. So I think it's
Well,
really just a blessing in disguise that you joined them.
mm-hmm. That's a possibility that I could have met someone else, and well, yes.
Well, that's great. Okay, so do you think that it was kind of fast to get into a
Mm.
relationship with him? Because you told us that you mentioned or stated your feelings with that person on that on that trip.
um Yeah, I think in a way, well, people would define fast differently, but I think it was also kind of fast with us because although we just met, um, we admitted it to each other almost, I think, on the second day. But the feelings were there starting even, 2 months ago. But for me to say what I feel, that was something that I didn't want to do because, well, when you say your feelings, you don't really want to be rejected, right? Regardless if you are, whatever your gender is, you're on the other side waiting and hoping that they would also like you back. So, yeah, that was kind of fast for me.
You know what? You know what? Here in the Philippines, the culture is different from other countries. So probably with them, it's a normal thing that they, if they like a person, they would immediately say that to that person instead of just making flirts and all. Unlike here in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines, it's kind of different. We always we always take time to say to that person, even though you really like that person. There's called panliligaw, which is kind of weird for
Yeah.
me because sometimes, if you really like the person, why would you have to test that person?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just tell that person that you like that person, and if you really like each other, then why not try to be in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, something like that. But here in the Philippines, it's kind of different. It They really want to have this kind of akitang kilas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show that if you it's kind of material kind of courting.
Courtship. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of that's why I really
Yeah.
don't like dating a Filipino. Not really, but you know what? For the past 5 years, I guess I've been
Mm-hmm.
dating foreigners and half Filipino, half foreigner, or something like that, because I feel like those people are their culture is really different. They
Mm-hmm.
usually they're more expressive, and they really express their feelings rather than someone like in the Philippines. They usually ghost, you know, nag-ghost tayo here in the Philippines. But for them, if they want to end a relationship, they would really talk to you nicely. I think that's
Huh.
one thing common. I mean, that's one thing that
Okay.
I really like about dating foreigners. Anyways, I have
Mm-hmm.
that kind of question to you later on, but
Okay.
for now, let's move back to your story. Okay. So, were you hesitant to enter a relationship with someone who is not a Filipino?
Um, Interestingly, actually, not. For the longest time in my life, I felt that I am not destined to be with a Filipino, and I don't know why, but that's just the feeling that I had. It's because I can't seem to connect with Filipinos the same way that I can connect to foreigners. Um, I always tried. I noticed that I'm always looking for something else when I am about to be, let's say, involved in a relationship. Even yung MU na
Yes.
tinatawag natin, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So it's of course it's mutual understanding. You didn't really some people don't really get to that level of relationship na kayo talaga. But in the beginning, you feel like, that's where this is going. But then it didn't go there. So, yun, yung part na yun, parang always something is missing. And that, uh, I'm not sure if I can say what it is because I can't pinpoint what it is exactly. But you know how it is. In the Philippines, they would always say like, um, hey, kumain ka na ba?
Yeah, actually, that's one thing also that I notice with foreigners. You know, they don't like too much updates. They don't like what you're doing. I don't like an update on what you're eating right now or what you're doing right now. I don't like you sending messages from time to time. It's
Well,
annoying for them.
Yeah, I think from time to time is okay, but yung constant sending ng messages
Yes,
na,
exactly. It's really
"Uy,
annoying.
kumain ka na ba? Ano gawa mo?"
Yes,
My
exactly.
God, this is so, well, no offense, guys, but this is really ridiculous. You don't have to be updated all the time about what they're doing, and I felt like I'm trying to become someone I'm not when I'm with other people. I mean, potential love interest at the time. Kasi parang, what's the point? Why
Exactly.
do I have to answer this question? And at the same time, and if I don't respond the same way that they're expecting me to be, it's like, ay, hindi siya interested sa akin. No, I am interested, but I just don't like it this way. So there's quite a big difference dun sa part na yun. So I always felt na, well, that's very shallow. But other than that, I just felt like I can express myself better when I speak in English. Parang mas naiintindihan ako nung iba na parang hindi ako weird. Na parang, because I know this is quite a stereotype. But foreigners are from different countries, of course. They're not just staying in one country, and they are more open-minded. They have many things that they have seen. They've been to so many places. So I have a feeling that they are more understanding of the differences. They are not judgy. They're not these
Exactly.
people like, ay, ganun ka, or ba't
They don't
may
have
ganito kang hobby?
standards. Actually, they don't have
Yeah,
standards. Unlike Filipinos, we have these kind of standards that we have to comply with. Come on, we're not a technical regulation at all. We're not government having this kind of regulation or standards. It's just to meet, just for that person to meet. It's kind of weird. But for other
yeah.
countries, for other people from other countries, they don't have these kind of standards. It's really about the
Mhm.
feelings. If they
And
really
I
like the
think,
person, I think they would really put
yes,
an effort.
I think there is a standard with foreigners as well, but it's not the same as what the others are expecting. I think with the past experiences I had, it's the standard was just whoever replies to you.
Yes,
whoever sends you back something cheesy like,
or consistent,
yeah,
being
I
consistent
already
and all.
ate. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good. But the standard that I'm talking about is quite, something different. Like, even though that you are different from this other person, that they try to assess if that is something that they would accept or they are willing to accept to have in their lives. So yeah.
that's it. At least we're learning the differences between a relationship with a Filipino and relationship with the foreigners. Because
Mm-hmm.
the perception is kind of different. My perception is different from yours perception. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really a good discussion right now. So
Yeah, but yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong being in any relationship with
yes,
any
exactly.
nationalities at all. I think it's just widening your horizon. So perhaps I have just met Filipinos that didn't match what I was, thinking, or it's really just didn't match because Filipino guys are also nice guys, and they can be um, really understanding as well and loving, and you can really have deep conversations with them. It's just that sometimes if you don't have the same personality and habits, probably that's going to be a big deal. So yeah.
Sure. So based on your experiences, what are the qualities a Slovak, specifically for a
Uh-huh.
Slovak that has that Filipinos doesn't have?
Well, that's tough one. um I am not sure. But because, of course, we are very individual. But in general, I would say that Slovaks are I would say they are straightforward. Um, it's just how they are. Like, Mm, when you say something or when you ask them how they are, regardless of you being a stranger or, an acquaintance or a friend, they would really tell you how they feel. And just to give you an example, because I was, here practicing their language, I decided every once in a while that I would use the Slovak language to communicate with people, even though I don't know them, which was wow, terrifying. Uh, so in the supermarket, I did ask them how they were. So I said like, "Добрый день." It's like good morning. Ah, good morning. Um, Ako samatie. It means how are you? And they were so shocked that I asked the question because they don't know me. And usually, with the Filipinos, you would say, "Oh, kumusta?" And it's like, "Oh, okay naman, kahit hindi mo naman kilala, 'di ba?" So that's what I mean. They're very straightforward. They just tell you how they feel. They tell you how they are. But other than that, I think that Slovaks are kind and they really know what they want. And they express themselves whenever they feel something, whenever they want something. But that's, generally. My husband is the quiet type. He also says what he wants to say, but it's also controlled. It's gentle. It's not that straightforward. So yeah, I think for us, for Filipinos, we are more into the funny side. When we are being asked, something, we just dismiss things like, "Oh, I'm fine," but you don't really say, what's going on. You answer the question positively, but you are more calm and you know and funny. And that's another thing. I think Filipinos are more on the funny side. We are more humorous, and Slovaks are on the serious side. But they can also be funny. It's just a matter of personality as well. Yeah.
That's Filipinos are really more sociable
Yeah,
type
sociable.
people.
That's the
So
right word.
we're really hospitable. So we really want to talk to strangers. We usually do that, talk to
Hmm.
strangers, and yeah, I can attest to that because I went to Hong Kong, and then they really don't like talking to strangers. If you've talked to them and you ask the question, "How are you?" "What are you doing?" Something like that. They will look at you,
Hmm.
and they will look at you like you're a stranger or a murderer or a snatcher, a
Yeah,
robber.
that's what I felt as well because I think it's because of our culture, and unfortunately that's the sad part. We don't trust people that easily, but at the same time we have this outgoing personality. We still talk to people even if we don't know them, but I mean, the back of our minds we think, oh, baka snatchan ako nito, O kaya, uy, baka ano, kinukuha niya lang yung loob ko to get something from me. So, yeah, that's the difference. That here, well, again, this is probably too generalized, but I don't feel like I have to pretend that, I am, let's say that I don't have a certain thing, or I don't have to hide my phone while I'm walking in the streets because no one's really gonna grab that from me. So yeah.
We're gonna date a person from other countries, we really have to be sensible enough to get to know their culture and to get to know that person. Because sometimes, like me, I dated different nationalities already, so
Hmm.
I felt like there are differences
Yeah.
differences when it comes to their culture and their their characters is really different. Like for a Mexican or Latinos or Latinas,
Hmm.
they really don't like the updates at all. They hate it. And if you say I miss you, they would say we just met yesterday or last week. Would just really please stop telling me that you miss me, something like that. They're really straightforward. And then if you say like, uh, have you had your dinner, something like that, that person would actually I that person texted me and told me that I'm not a dog for you to feed, something like that. I was like, I'm not telling you, I'm not I'm not a dog. I mean, I'm not looking at you like a dog, but for them it's
Hmm.
really offending. It's really offending, I tell you.
Hmm. I
And
think
then
we are sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, so go ahead.
Sorry, I just felt like we are oftentimes trying to adjust and thinking, kasi ganito yung culture nila, so we have to understand. But I feel like sometimes we are also not being understood na parang, bakit ganun hindi nila ako naintindihan? Parang they didn't check at all or they're not curious. I don't know, like,
Sometimes
ganyan ba
I
talaga kayo or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I thought about it na why would me always adjust to their culture? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pero sometimes naman
Yeah.
may mga na-experience naman ako na they are the one adjusting to our culture. Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
a Vietnamese, I dated a Vietnamese like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Culture talaga, I mean culture, the language is really a, a big factor. Kasi nagde-date kami, that person is using a translator app sa phone.
Oh,
So every time I speak, magta-type na siya. And then yung, papakita niya sa akin yung ano, yung translator, something like that. And then
okay.
that time, hindi ako pwede salita ng English ng sobrang bilis and straight English. I have to really speak slowly and clearly for them to really understand. So
Mhm. So
so it's talagang
wow.
ano, talagang when you date a foreigner or different nationality, talagang it's really someone should adjust talaga and
Yes.
learn their cultures din. Kasi if not, talagang may ma-o-offend.
Mhm. Totoo 'yan and, dapat dalawa kayong nag-a-adjust siyempre. So, I think yung sinabi mo na hindi kayo nagkakaintindihan at first, nangyayari din 'yan well, nangyari din 'yun sa'min. Especially nung nagsisimula pa lang kami, parang lahat na lang hindi maintindihan. Parang on both sides, hindi ko maintindihan kung anong sinasabi niya, hindi niya maintindihan kung anong ibig kong sabihin. Kasi, you know, you have many expressions or words that you know from, of course, from your official language, and us knowing English from, childhood, that's something to our advantage. And to them, it's not. I mean, to my husband, to Slovaks, it's not their first language. So people here can study German or Russian and of course Slovak, but they didn't really intentionally study English until the later generations. So yun, so parang lagi nilang may misunderstanding to the point na nagkakainisan na. And I remember when I asked him like how to say this in Slovak. And normally sa English, 'di ba? You will just respond. And here when I ask how to say let's say are you hungry? And he would ask me back, but who is hungry? You, me, her? It's like, ang dami mong tanong. Tinatanong ko lang kung anong ibig, kung anong translation niya sa Slovak. And then you always have to ask me back. And it's so annoying. And he had to explain to me that, no, because in our language, it's so different. For example, um, are you hungry? Are you referring to you directly? So that will totally change the word that you have to use. So it's so different, nagiging source siya ng argument, and until now meron pa ring times na hindi kami nagkakaintindihan, but then it is so much better than 4 years ago. So yeah, it's a process.
It's a process and also it's a give and take. Say if you can
Yes.
enter a relationship also. It's like same with,
Mhm.
here in the Philippines, kung magda-date ka lang ng Filipino, also give and take din yan. So it's like dating a foreigner, pero it's different lang kasi the culture, the language is different, but still you
Mhm.
have to really give and take palagi.
Yes, of course.
Where do you consider LDR, long distance relationship, a problem? Because
Hmm.
yun kasi naging problema ko, as always.
Uh-huh.
Kaya nakikipag-break palagi sa akin because
Oh,
of distance.
okay. Wow. Well, I want to ask. Sorry, I know you have a question, but I want to ask you. So, for you, do you think that long distance relationship is possible to be successful, or for you, is it really a no go anymore?
Well, for me, I'm open-minded. Kasi, so
Mhm.
I'm open to long distance relationship. I don't see it as a problem,
Mhm.
but it really has a huge responsibility for it
Yes.
to really work.
Work. Mhm.
So yun, for me, it's a 50-50 for me. But based on my
Mhm.
experiences, lahat ng mga nakadate ko na foreigners, they're all always saying one thing, and that is the
Mhm.
distance, LDR. They don't like it.
Mhm.
So whenever they leave
Mhm.
the country, they will talk to me and say, na, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Let's end it. So something like that.
Mm. I see. Well, I think that it depends, you know. To some people, they in the beginning before they have tried LDR, they would say, "No, of course we can do it. We can make it happen." But then they haven't really experienced it, and sometimes it takes its toll on them, and then they realize, OMG, hindi ko pala kaya. So then they will say na, okay, let's break up. But of course, it's, different for everyone. And in our case, we were in long distance for a while. I think 1 year. Because when we got together, so remember that's Sagada, Sagada story, Sagada trip. So that was only for 6 days or 4 days that we were together, and then after that he had to go back to Slovakia, and no, not yet. He had to go back to uh his brother and sister-in-law, and they will hang out for vacation, but that's like another 2 weeks, and then we separated again, and then we met for extra 2 days, and then after their whole trip was finished in the Philippines, then we went our own ways, and he's back here in Slovakia, and then I'm there in the Philippines. So it was a year.
Because I
And
remember you told me that if you will not be able to go to Slovakia, you will end the relationship. I remember that. We had a coffee,
uh
and then you
really?
told me like, if my visa will not be approved, I will not. I will end this relationship.
Hmm.
I'm not sure
I
if you
don't know.
remember, but I I,
I don't
I remember
remember
you.
that.
I remember you told me you're gonna end the
Uh-huh.
relationship if you don't get the visa approved.
Yes. Well, I don't remember that, but honestly, okay, let's just clarify things here.
All right,
Kasi
okay.
baka naman isipin ng iba na parang baka kaya
Marites.
baka naman kaya lang ako nakipagrelasyon with someone, outside the Philippines is for the visa,
No, no,
Guys,
no. I'm talking about that you are
I
getting the
know.
tourist visa. Kasi I
Uh-huh.
remember that madaming pinapa-translate sa'yo yung mga credentials mo, remember? And
Yes, so
you're
so
almost give up kasi there's so many like requirements and it's taking too long. Parang ganon.
yes, yes.
Naiinis ka that time sa embassy. Something like
Mhm.
that. Kaya parang sabi ko,
Yes.
pag dito talaga approve, I will really something like that. But it's not really about
I
getting the
know. I
visa and para maging citizenship. It's not about that. I'm talking
Yeah, I
about yung
understand.
pagpunta mo doon. That
Exactly.
so yun.
Mhm. I understand. It's just, baka ma-misinterpret tayo. So
Ah,
guys,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
I
that
understand. Oh, okay.
that visa process, it's essential to this story because if I am not gonna have my visa, it's not just the tourist visa, but they don't have a term for it, but anyway, I need to get my permanent residence anyway. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way for that to happen is first, if I have my tourist visa approved, and then if I am going to be staying there for, a month. And mind you, at the time, I was only on leave for 2 weeks from my work, and they didn't allow more than that.
Ah, yeah, I
So
remember that. Okay.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the time, but it's like, okay, if I go back to the Philippines after 2 weeks, because that's what I was allowed by my company, there's a chance that I will not be getting this tourist visa. And I will, I mean, not tourist visa because I was already there. There's a chance that I will not be getting approved with this, permanent residence, etc. But then if I don't come back, then I'm gonna be in trouble with my company. So I'm like, love or career.
Oh, that's the
Um,
problem. That's another question. Kidding.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, so LDR for me, I really believe that it works if you really work on it. But at some point in our relationship that, he was telling me, um, why you don't want to come here and come as soon as possible, after we get married. And it for me, I wanted to continue living in the Philippines and just, continue with work because I was really happy and I felt like everything was happening too quickly. And of course, I also had doubts about living in Slovakia because of the language and I had to start all over again and stuff. But yeah, LDR really works if you truly work on it. And I will tell you that from the time that we communicated, um, what is it, from the time that we became a couple officially, we haven't there was no there was not a day that we didn't talk to each other until the time that I got back here in Slovakia a year later. So we don't have to talk like every minute because first of all there's a 7-hour difference, so we can't really do that. So we just have a few time during few moments during the day that we can talk. But when we do, we tell each other things and we update each other about stuff, not with the mundane things, but just what's happening. And LDR will work as long as you both try to be understanding of your time difference and really work on, your um, effort to be with each other, even virtually. So yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. 50-50 talaga ako. Because um, pinaka-recent ko, like 2019, it was an Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Nag-aaral siya dito ng pre-med. And then we're dating na, ganyan. So, pero sinasabi niya palagi sa akin na magko-continue siya ng residency niya sa US. So, most
Mm.
likely na aalis din siya ng bansa, something like that. So, sabi ko naman, parang wala naman, there's no problem with it kasi parang I can go there, I can work my visa, I can really, put an effort just to get there. Pero
Mm-hmm.
parang at some point kasi it's really, yun, katulad na sinabi mo, understanding, the patience and all. I don't think na ganun siya. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really, ano talaga it's siguro hindi lang talaga meant to be. Kasi with you and Rasto, almost 1 year kayong nagkahiwalay and LDR,
Mm-hmm.
but still with the effort and talagang you really did your responsibility as a girlfriend para makapunta to sa Slovakia. So
Mm-hmm.
yun. So
Yeah, it
talagang
was hard.
it was hard. Kaya parang the LDR situation or the LDR issue, it's really gonna work if you really put so much effort on it. And then
Mm-hmm.
every challenges kaya mo masurpass. Kasi one
Yeah.
challenge na hindi mo masurpass, it will just go down talaga.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So yeah, effort talaga ang LDR.
Mhm. So balik tayo dun sa love and career. For you ba
Okay.
talaga, it's really, if you're gonna choose between love and career, kasi di ba sabi nila, if you have love, you don't have a career. If you have a career, you don't have a love. Parang you can never have both.
Well, that's a tough one because I I used to think about that. I mean, think like that as well. But then imagine if you are imagine these people who are doing a career that they love and it's from their passion. They have built businesses from that. And then on the other side, they are just, being with their family. So I really think that having a career while being in love is possible. But in my case, it was, it's different. I was employed. It's not like I have a business. I was employed and I really enjoyed my work there. But also, probably what made it easier was the fact that my work was during the night. So having like 2 hours or 3 hours of sleep when I come from work, it's too much for my health. So even though I'm happy there, even though I have friends there, it made it easier because I know that probably if I'm gonna be going to Slovakia anyway, this opportunity to have a new career is uh is a good one because it's like starting from scratch. Maybe I will find a job that will be day shift. So yeah, it was quite challenging in the beginning, but as I, accepted that probably I'm gonna be living here instead of staying in the Philippines because I weighed, the benefits of living here versus there. And I realized that um, okay, I'm scared, but this is where my husband is. And it doesn't make sense for me to stay in the Philippines just because I wouldn't let go of a job that I like. So, as they say, kailangan before you accept something new in your life, you have to let go of something. You have to let your hand be open to more things that you can accept. Otherwise, you will not grow as a person. So, in that case, I hope I answered your question. I cannot choose between love and career, but just go with wherever your heart is, and then everything else will follow.
Exactly. Ako naman, I always believe in taking risk.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, I mean, you may choose between love, career, or both, but take the risk. Always take the
Mm-hmm.
risk. Kasi sometimes, if we don't take the risk, parang gusto na lang natin parang happy-go-lucky na. Gusto na dumating. Ganun. Pag
Mm-hmm.
ganun kasi yung mindset natin, parang baka hindi natin mapili yung right answer to that question, kung love or
Mm-hmm.
career. But if we take
Yes.
the risk, possibly we can get both. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
like, parang ganun lang yun palagi. Parang we need to act. Parang should be an action to everything. Kasi kung nakahilata ka
Mm-hmm.
ng ganyan, and you will choose between love and career, parang you'll not get the right formula to it. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, with your case, na parang you take the risk. Parang sabi mo, yeah, I mean, I can start a new career when I get to Slovak. Parang ganon. You have that kind of risk thinking already na parang, it's okay to give up my career now. Kasi tomorrow I can have both. And now you
Mm-hmm.
have both. You have love life, you have family, you have a
Mm-hmm.
lovely kid, and then at the same time you have a career there. So ganun kasi yun. You have to really take the risk.
Hmm. And everything is a risk. I think surrounding this topic, for example, coming here with someone that I married when I barely knew him. That's a risk in itself because the stereotypes and what we are raised. I mean, what we observed on the media, like, ay, nagpakasal siya sa ano, tapos binubugbogan niya, di ba?
Yeah, alright.
Yung
Mm-mm.
mga ganong thoughts. So, but I really think na it really depends. And I'm just very lucky. And I think that it is because I have prayed so much in the past uh, to God to give me wisdom to make the right decisions. And I don't always make the right decisions, but I always pray for wisdom. And that has really helped me a lot when I need to decide on something.
Good. I really love our conversation. It's really, ang dami natin na pag-usapan about um, relationship with
Mm-hmm.
foreigners, with Filipinos, the differences, how it's like to have a foreigner lover, something like that, the LDR issue, love and career and everything. So what is your advice to our listeners who are experiencing almost the same as what we have talked about?
Mm-hmm. You mean LDR?
LDR, yeah, you can have it like advice for LDR, advice for love and career, advice for having a
Mm-hmm.
foreign lover, something like that.
I like the term foreign lover.
Yeah, foreign lover.
Well, okay, so I would say that, I have nothing against dating apps or, just finding someone um, from your own country, of course. But wherever you are and whoever you meet, you just have to be really careful with, the things that you mm, talk about. And what I mean by that is you should learn about red flags and green flags. And when you're online, it's kind of difficult to assess if the person you're talking to is is for real or not. So you have to watch out about the things that they say when you are communicating. Pay attention to what they say and not just accept it as it is. You have to question them. If there's something that bothers you, you have to really be honest. And if they don't like you for your honesty, then the hell with it. Even if foreigner pa yan. Kasi I think what a lot of people go through, I noticed, is that even though they are not happy, they're not fully happy and they have doubts, they continue with the said relationship or the conversation just because, uy, may chance ako na makahanap ng foreigner. So baka ito na yung the one ko. But then they tend to ignore the red flags. They ignore all these things that bother them inside just because they want to get this, opportunity to be, in on the greener grass. But guys, you have to be really aware of that. You have to be careful. If you find the one that you feel is very understanding and kind, and if that person is the one that matches who you wanted for you as a partner, then go for it. And if you're about to embark on this long distance journey relationship with them, then you have to prepare yourself. Probably I'm not the best person to give advice because we have only been on LDR for a year, but it you have to set your rules with each other. You have to state from the beginning what are you willing to accept and what not, because that will set the tone for your relationship. And if at some point that you have to choose between career and love, then as as Mark said, you have to take a risk, and you have to know from your point of view what it is that you really, really want. And if you're having trouble deciding, always ask for wisdom and pray that wherever your journey will take you will be the best one for you. And if not, then you get to learn something. And even if you don't get what you want, eventually at some point, you will be in a place that you hoped to be for the longest time, as long as you just believe that it will happen. So yeah, that's my advice.
Wow. Ganda. Fairness. I love it. Well,
Thank you.
for me naman, the topic that we talked about, it's a wide topic. We just
Mm-hmm.
talk about our perception, our experiences on that certain topic, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to
Mm-hmm.
discuss to that topic because it's really, different people, we have different experiences at all. So for me, my advice na lang is just be yourself. Always be
Mm-hmm.
yourself and try not to pretend. Just because you have a
Yes.
foreign a partner or you're dating someone who is not a Filipino or something, you pretend to be someone else. Try to show
Mm-hmm.
yourself immediately
Mm-hmm.
para, alam mo yun, you'll find real love. Kasi if you're faking everything you do, you're just faking the whole relationship and it will not work. That's for
Mm-hmm.
me.
I
And
agree.
based on my experiences, pakatotoo ka lang, just show your true colors, your true
Mm-hmm.
identity.
Yeah.
If there are cultures that you want to share to that person, show it. Don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Filipino, showcase it. And
Mm-hmm.
if there is a time that you need to adjust, it has to be both of you adjusting, give and take.
Mm-hmm.
Ganon. Hindi dapat yung isa is siya lang masusunod and you get offended or what. And then when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to LDR, it's really a 50-50 for me. Pero it
Yeah.
could be 100% gonna work if both of you will work well.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So yeah. And of course, it's not really about nationality or yung kung ano yung kultura ng person. It's really about your true feelings to that person. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to show it. tayo mga Pilipino, we
Yes.
need to break the tradition type of dating. Yung
Mhm.
masyadong pakitang gilas, panliligaw and all. Yung tipong gusto mo libre mo palagi lahat ng dates. No, stop it. You have to break it. You have to
Yes.
be, um, you know, um, natural lang. Kung kaya mong gumastos, to go. Pero you don't need to really, to parang,
Yeah,
kasi it's like pretending eh. For me, it's
I
pretending.
agree.
Just be yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you don't need
And and
you
I
don't
mean,
need
yeah,
super parang super materialistic thing of kind of dating, di ba?
I agree with that. And honestly, for me, yung panliligaw kasi is like putting your best foot forward. And in a relationship, it's not always gonna be the good times, and there's also gonna be bad. But I think I understand din naman from the side ng nanliligaw na parang that person is, afraid to probably show himself or herself to that person that he or she is interested in. Pero if you put your best foot forward and then suddenly nasa isang relationship na kayo, and then you will just realize na, ay, ang dami mo palang hindi pa alam, tapos magugulat ka na lang na may temper or something. So I think yung panliligaw, it's not necessary as long as you are getting to know each other and you're just being yourself. But of course, I understand if you would want to test the waters first. You don't want to put yourself out there with all your vulnerabilities and and all that. You can show it a little bit later, but not too late. Still soon, but yeah. So you can check first and before you, you know, put yourself out there.
For me, when I started dating foreigners, that's the time that, my perception on dating is widened. Parang sabi ko,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so ganito pala yung, alam mo yun, parang sometimes you will think na parang mas okay rin pala na nakaka-experience ka ng ganito kasi pag hindi mo na-experience yung ganitong dating a foreigner, masyado tayo nagiging toxic na. Di mo pala alam sa sarili mo
Mm-hmm.
na toxic ka pala kasi nandito tayo sa lumang tradition ng panliligaw and all. Sometimes kasi yung panliligaw, it's really a toxic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi parang, ah, 'pag nasanay kasi yung tao sa panliligaw and all, parang 'pag hindi niya naranasan yung gano'ng type of dating, parang feeling niya na you don't deserve it. Kawawa naman yung tao,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
And
see.
sometimes kasi kaya minsan nauuso yung naghihiwalay and all kasi hindi nila nakikita kaagad yung true colors of that person. Kasi yung dun sa panliligaw pala
Mm.
masyadong nagpapakitang gilas, masyadong effort kung effort. But in reality, tamad na tamad pala.
Yeah. Like us, wala ding nangyaring courtship. It was just,
Exactly.
yeah, direct to the point.
Mhm. So that's it. Thank you again, Althea, for having you here in my podcast. And if you want to say something about your podcast because you have your own podcast that you want
Yeah.
to share to our listeners.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Mark. And yeah, I would like to also tell you about my podcast. It's called Small Girl Abroad because I am a small girl living abroad.
Oh my
It's
god.
mainly, yeah, it's as we were talking about foreigners. I am also a foreigner here in Slovakia. So my podcast is mainly about foreigners living abroad and sharing their, own experiences about life in general, and from moving from one country to another and starting a life over from scratch. So if you're interested, please visit my podcast Small Girl Abroad in all different platforms available to you. So yeah, see you there.
Yes, that's right. I actually ang ganda ng Small Girl Abroad kasi you're interviewing foreigners just like you there and their experiences. So for a lot of us Filipino who wants to be a to a foreign country, to be a foreigner in a foreign country, get some tips and advices to this lovely girl here, Althea. Yeah, Small
Hmm.
Girl Abroad on all digital platforms worldwide.
Hmm. Thank you, thank you. So I'm expecting you guys there. See ya.
All right, thank you again. And this is Christian, and this is Chris Talks. Bye, everyone. Love you.
Thank you, Ali, for sharing your story with us. And if you like this podcast, make sure to follow and subscribe to Chris Talks. Don't forget to follow my social media accounts on my podcast description. And please support this podcast through paypal.me/Christian G. Valencia. I hope to see you again on my next episode. See you next time. I love you all. Bye, guys.